Here, how long have you been at this house?
Let me see how old David
Since
is.
73.
1973?
So it is 47 years.
You've been here 47 years?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
well.
Seems like yesterday.
And you're coming from?
2900 Guilford.
Yeah.
I'm
Mayfair.
giving away my
How long were you there?
10 years.
10 years.
So you moved into 2900 Guilford
And
in
4 kids.
1960.
No, 5.
Oh.
Go! Ring around the rosy, a pocket full of posies. Ashes, ashes, we all fall down.
Who'd I
No,
forget?
6.
Cow,
6.
cows were in the meadow.
Yeah, we only had 2 here.
Who was at Guilford? Who was
Everybody's
Everybody
first
but Jimmy.
6.
Barbara?
Everybody but Jimmy and John.
Everybody but David was born in Guilford?
He was a year, that's how I know.
All right. Oh, that's how you know whatever age he is, -1 is how long you've been here?
We were here since 73. I know that.
He was born in 72 and we moved here 73. So when he was 1,
You remember what month you moved?
yes, January.
It was
That was
It was
cold.
in the winter.
Like
Yeah.
we had the house, but I'm not going to get into that.
Who found
But
the house?
We went the second. We were visiting Helen, and there was a sign outside here
For sale? Oh, yeah.
Tom said you got to move.
Tom said, please.
And before Guilford Street, we lived for 2 years, rented at 4870 Roosevelt Boulevard.
Is that on the east or the west side of the boulevard?
West.
Past?
West.
Past
near
Adams?
Sears. No, right before
Before
that.
Adams. Right
Right
past
before?
Bridge.
Oh,
There's
yeah?
train tracks right next door to it.
You still there? Cut.
It
And
was
is-
a great big old house that they
Nice people.
And you lived there 1960,
61 to 63.
61 to 63, all right? And you remember your rent?
Yeah,
85,
$75 a month.
That includes washer and dryer.
Yes, it did.
And you were coming from
That
your.
included everything.
Were you coming
From the home.
From home? And you lived on.
Unreal.
And you lived on Tackawanna?
Tackawanna. Tackawanna.
Yeah. Okay. Was anybody born at the Roosevelt house?
Yeah, Barbara.
Oh, she was there.
Mary Ann.
Just Barbara. 63?
2.
Oh, she's born 62?
May.
Wait a minute. Yeah. Miriam was born in 64.
And you moved out of there in 63? Lived there for 10 years? Okay. I assume you were an electrician at the time.
Always.
And the kids went to what school?
Not St. Matthew's on Guilford Street.
Guilford, right?
Up to 5th grade. Barbara was in 5th grade.
All right.
Billy was in kindergarten, and when he moved up here, he blew it.
Didn't let them in?
He said, I'm not going to kindergarten.
Gotcha.
So he only went a half a year. That's why he's.
And there used to be a fence around this when you first
There
moved
was.
There's an enclosure, too.
in? Oh, yeah, enclosure. And
It had a
who,
great big gate that went across this.
and who was the owner?
Started with a big.
Wait a minute. Bake oven.
Bake oven.
Bake oven? And what did you buy this house for? How much?
40.
40? Wow. And it's probably worth about.
And we tried to get a loan from Grandpa, but it didn't work out.
His answer was?
Click.
Yeah. Grandma,
And
maybe.
what we wanted it for was those people backed off. Like there was something, and we had to wait 2 more months. Like we had that house and this house
We
both.
didn't have any money to put down on this house.
So we had to take one of those short loans, which is really expensive. It was only for 2 months, and he wouldn't give it to us.
Oh. You were trying to get in here in October, November?
Well, we made
Made
settlement.
settlement, but
You just couldn't move
We
until.
didn't
we
move
want to borrow money
until
from the bank.
Yeah.
we didn't move until the school year, like school year.
And you had a mortgage, or was it from a bank? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. Huh.
It's paid off.
No, the other house.
Congratulations.
The other house was paid off. When my mother paid her mortgage, I mean, they rented for years because they lost the house in the Depression.
Yeah.
And when
Do you know what the
they-
house they lost was? Where that was?
Yeah, right around
Jersey.
the corner from David.
Oh, was it over
Yeah.
in Haddon Heights?
Same parish. Same,
Which-
not Haddon Heights, but it was the same.
Another name.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to think of it, but
Not
it
old.
was,
Not old. Audubon. It went down. It was
Prior
close.
to was there any kids born when they were there? Ginny.
Burner.
And then they got booted out of that house because of the depression.
And then they moved to what's that Polish section, Bridesburg.
Oh, did
and
they?
Ran it for till I was born, and I was a lot more now.
So they ran it.
She speaks Polish.
We lived next door to a bar down there.
Well, that narrows it down. There's a bar in every corner.
And they used to put me in the window, and all the men used to give me money because I was so cute.
Did they?
And Jimmy took it off her.
Took 10%. You're talking about Jimmy McShay, not Jimmy Beck.
Jimmy Cheap McShay, yeah.
It's the name, I know. Okay, so then they moved to, you know what they paid for their house? I assume
God,
it was
I have no idea.
15 grand maybe?
No, we paid 12 for our house down.
Oh, so it was
Guilford
much
Street.
less?
15.5.
15.5.
So they probably paid 7 or 8 grand maybe?
We were last.
I don't know,
later.
but it was
That's a big house.
big house.
Yeah, big house.
Yep.
I
And when
don't know
did
what they
Bernard
paid.
buy the house next door?
2 houses
Two
down.
houses down.
How long, like as soon as he moved out?
He
No,
lived on McGee Street for
he
a while.
lived across the street from Grandma.
Oh, did he?
Remember that store where Grandma used to send you to
The
get
candy
lunch meat?
store. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
she called
Trish's
it
owned it?
cold. She called
did
it
he?
cold cuts.
Yeah, cold cuts.
They lived directly across the street there.
And they rent it?
No, they bought a house there. But then when Parsons went for sale, the one on my mother's street, you know, on our under,
Parsons was the guy that lived
In the
there
corner.
they moved in.
with a couple
She had
kids.
4 kids. No, she had. I think maybe Jimmy and Tina were born on. No, she probably had everybody but Jimmy. I don't know. I don't know that.
Kind of crowded.
Yeah,
Yep.
right. So then they moved there, and that's where she lived there. They lived there forever after that, right? That was.
Bernard's house is still for sale in case Billy wants to buy
Oh, is it? No, I mean your parents' house.
Yeah, we lived there until.
She lived there
died.
till she, and then they sold it.
Fix it up, yeah.
Oh yeah, were you involved in that fix up? No.
We didn't. We sold
We've
it.
seen pictures of it.
Yeah.
We sold it. People afterwards did it.
So they got a good deal probably on that. And do you know your parents came from Kensington, right?
Down by St. Joan of Arc, yeah.
Is that near North?
A
North Catholic?
couple miles south of North.
Is it? And that's where great grandma lived. It was on King Street or something,
That's
right?
where
One was
Grandma.
Kingston, one was
We used to
Atlantic.
go to great grandma's to
Very
do her
close to St.
grass.
Joan
Do you
of Arc.
remember that?
I remember the Kingston Street house a little bit. It was a row home when I was young.
2066.
She probably died when? What year do you think?
Oh, Grandma, she died.
In the early 70s?
No, she died.
Because I saw her, and I was born in
Probably in the
67.
90s, I guess, huh?
She lived till she was 90 something.
Oh, so she could have lived into late 70s?
Oh, I think 80s.
Maybe older.
Oh, really?
I think Jimmy and John saw her, so it was the 80s.
And she stayed at that house the whole time?
No, she
She went to a
moved.
nursery. She went taking Marjorie. She didn't. She went to a nursing home.
She went to some star, like a, what's that called? Eastern Star Nursing.
And her father died what year?
Husband, you mean?
Her husband.
Yeah.
He died on the job, man.
And
What
he
year was
used to-
that? Remember?
He used to read comic books when he worked for his
I
grandpa.
want to get that in.
Make you look bad. He used to read comic books.
Well, his grandfather let him do that, unlike his father.
He could read
don't.
comic books on the job.
We were caught up.
And what comic books did you read?
None of your business.
Oh, this is history.
Superman.
Superman, that was your go-to? Not Spider-Man?
Spider-Man's history.
Because Lewis will change.
I never liked Spider-Man.
So you read comic books on the job.
With his grandfather, but
Right.
with his father, he got docked for picking up his first grandson.
They all know that story.
You know that, right?
Got docked for picking up who?
Lewis.
Louis was born. I
Oh.
got docked, remember?
Lewis gave us the money for sending him the $20.
So he left, would he leave work early to go to see the baby being born?
She
No,
was born around
pick me
noon
up.
time, and I told him I was going to the hospital, and then when
Right.
I got my pay the following week, I was docked 4 hours. So when I went to
Honestly.
pick her up the following week, I snuck out.
Was there any conversation about this?
I told Grandma, she said she'll take care of it.
Yeah. So which year did he, your grandfather, his name was Lou as well, he died what year?
201, was it? Or
201.
my father?
Oh,
I never met the guy. What
he's
year?
talking about
Are you talking about
great-
great-grandfather? I guess
That was before we were married.
probably late 60s.
Before you were married?
Before we married? Oh, maybe the late 50s then, yeah.
Because I remember going to his
That's
viewing.
right. Yeah, 59, somewhere around
So
there.
you were just a teenager. He died young.
Yeah, he was retired and went back to work.
Yeah, but he was young.
60?
He's
He was in his
mid-60s.
60s, yeah.
Mid-60s?
That's young nowadays.
Yeah.
Well, it was-
You think
it
it's
was
very
old.
young.
It was old back then.
Right. But there was no pension, right?
I don't think so, no.
And then Grandmom continued to live in that house
Yep.
and stayed
And
there
every
till...
other weekend she came to their house
Yeah.
and then Dick's house. Like every other weekend they did that.
And Grandmom and Grandpop were... Was she also from Kensington? Where she
She's
grew
the
up?
one lived in Kingston.
You know, Grandmom Beck.
Oh, she was from the bar next to St. Joan of Arc. That's where
That's
Franco.
probably where they met.
Probably.
I'm saying her brother or somebody owned that bar.
Her sister,
Her sister owned that
Tessie.
bar.
Tessie.
So they lived around there somewhere.
So they
probably
knew-
could have met there.
They knew each other from the neighborhood.
I guess.
Probably.
And then they got that Tackawanna house in what year?
He was in high school.
1950.
You in high school?
1950, yeah.
And prior to that, you guys owned or rented? Remember?
We were Atlantic Street. I think we owned.
Yeah. And he was just upgrading. That was a Kensington.
upgrade.
Was it turning bad or was still good in 50s?
Everybody was moving up. Just
Trying-
like
trying to make a
everybody
move.
moves up to Holland. and-
People were moving to Mayfair, but nobody moved out. Why did you guys come here?
because we
Needed
ran
room.
out of space.
Needed room.
Yeah, but people raised.
I could have done it, but he couldn't. He had it. You know, I was used to a lot of big family. He wasn't.
Right, because you guys did it, right? But it wasn't a.
But our house was big.
Could have been done, but
Wasn't meant for
No, I'm talking
wasn't meant
about
for eight
my.
people.
I'm
huh?
talking about for me,
Oh,
my house, my mother's house.
is that bigger than the
It was
one
big.
on roof. That was a big house.
bigger than
It was
the
like this.
Guilford house?
Oh yeah. We
Yeah.
only had 3 bedrooms, and we had 6 kids and us.
3 bedrooms, 1 or 2 baths?
One and
Half.
in the basement there was a get powder room.
So that's a half, right? Okay. All
And
right.
on Guilford Street, we lived at Guilford and Browse, and you used to run across Browse like it was like a boulevard.
Yeah.
Mr.
Over to what house? To the
Degnans.
Degmans.
And some man, I can't think of her name now, the lady always had real blonde hair. Do you remember where our house was?
Across the
Driveway
street?
went in
Our
house.
driveway was here, and their house was there, like,
Yeah, it had that wall, that
Billy.
half wall.
yeah, Billy, do you remember her name? But she told me, my husband came in from work, and he was white as stone, and she said, what's the matter, Bill? He said, Billy Beck just ran across. I mean, that was a bad street.
Yeah.
It wasn't a traffic
One
jam
day,
now, huh?
one day, Ann Connor, you remember the Connors?
Yeah.
She was in the hospital, and I went to visit her, and I asked Michael to
Michael Connor?
babysit. Yeah, he was babysitting you. And when I got home, Mrs. Degnan called me and said, Billy's over here. And Michael was supposed to be watching you.
Another across the street. And what year did you guys meet? Do you remember that?
Well,
56, maybe 5.
Was it in high school?
I went to different schools.
Right, but it was high school years?
I met him first time when I was in 6th grade.
Gallagher's Point.
At a friend of mine, kid in my room had a party.
Yeah.
And
House
he was
party?
There.
Beer?
No,
Oh, no?
6th grade. No.
Oh, 6th.
Yeah.
So that's the first time you met him was in 6th grade? You remember that?
Like it was yesterday.
And then on my 14th birthday, I was going out with him because he bought me this ugly
Yeah. Still have it?
jewelry.
Some jewelry?
It's Polish.
And then we just knew each other. We didn't go out till, I guess about 19 I was. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was out of high school.
And where did you go for a date? Would you go to the drive-ins? You just go out, drive-ins?
That's about it.
I was on a budget.
Like a drive-in burger place, something like that?
Movies, drive-in movies.
Movies.
Or to a party or something.
Did you have a car?
56 Chevy convertible.
What happened to that?
First time
Top shelf. Got stolen.
First time I went out with him, he had his father's, but his father didn't usually let him use it. So I went
What was
out
that?
before he had a
Your father's car was what?
Ford.
Ford.
Oh, an old, like a Ford T model or
No, no,
I don't
no.
know what a team model.
wasn't that old? It was a newer Ford.
Yeah.
How much did your car cost?
1900. Paid cash for it. All my bonds and everything. Right on the money.
And you bought it right
Tell
at
him how much you-
the
Bought
dealership?
off a car dealer, yeah.
Tell
Yeah.
him what you made when we got married.
Your income for the year?
$5 an hour. When we got married.
So about 20 a year? Not even maybe, right?
What's this?
$5 an hour, what's that equal a year? Not a lot, right?
That's 40 bucks a day. Figured it'd go from there.
Yeah. So you had...
200,
And
200 a week.
I made $40. I only made like $1 when I graduated.
and what'd you do?
Secretary.
For...
A couple of places.
Yeah. When your car got stolen, you remember that? What's that story?
Yeah, I was working a weekend,
All right.
and the guy that was fixing it was up the street from where I lived. He thought I came to pick the car up, but I never got there because I worked the weekend. I stayed at the guy's house, Jimmy Cohen. When I come home to get the car, there was no car there. He said he parked it on Frankfurt Avenue and it disappeared.
Serious?
When I got it back, it was all messed up.
Oh, you did get it back?
Well, they found it, but it was
A little banged up?
wasn't the same.
And from then on in, we had Volkswagens.
Oh, you traded that in for a
We went
Volkswagen?
from
I didn't. I think probably. I was trying to keep the population down, but it didn't work.
When we got married, you had a Volkswagen.
Yeah.
Brand new? Same thing? Cash?
Yeah. No. Probably,
Bonds?
Probably.
It was my cash.
What was the local tap room that we hung at?
The Irishman's.
Where's that at?
Coleman and Frankfurt
Element
Avenue.
in Frankfurt.
You could walk there? Yeah. And who'd you hang with?
He did. I didn't hang out.
I hung out with her brother. Kept
Oh.
me out.
I mean, that whole crowd, you
Did
know,
that
Charlie
whole crowd,
Payne.
Charlie
Louis
Payne.
Did they let girls in the bar back then, or was there a separate entrance?
Now you can let girls in.
For me, but
There was
like
a
not
separate
my
entrance.
mother, maybe. But me, I could. They
Okay.
did have a separate entrance.
It wasn't segregated at that time. That had been broken down. Okay, I think that might conclude my questioning.
How's the guy that sponsored this bowl?
We used to go bowling too. Like you
Thunderbird?
said, for dates, we would go bowling or
Bolero.
go out with crowd and go to dinner, that kind of stuff.
The same crowd that you stayed with for years?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There was about 25 couples at our wedding. Now we're the only couple left.
Oh, are you really?
Charlie and John were.
Yeah, the only couple left. There's still
Yeah,
pieces
still-
to some of them.
Not many.
Janice is still there, and Christine's still there, and Livy's still there.
Whose idea was it for the, he's...
Go-kart?
For the go-kart, yeah.
That was Livy made that.
It was his idea,
He was
though?
into that kind of stuff, yeah.
He
racing
came...
cars.
That was a creative idea. He... Came up
Wacky
with
back
that?
Then.
What's that?
Oh, you might see this.
What's this?
No, you
Said
won't.
he was wacky back then.
Well, that was unique, right?
It's different.
Did you actually drive the go-kart, or it just stayed there?
Just sat down and took pictures.
Yeah. And the honeymoon was at the Poconos?
Up the Poconos.
And you're still on the honeymoon.
We still are on the honeymoon.
All right. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, we got to get one more for 60.
Okay. That'll be next year.
We surpassed this pandemic.
Yeah. Okay.
We're all blessed to do that.
All right, well, we'll see you later. I'm going to check out.
So how about we start a family? We can buy a house and have a kid. Maybe we'll have two. And then just repeat that line 4 more times. And so much I love you.